the ultimate cure for those summertime blues. A purple and silver showdown. It's the NFL on Fox. Today, Coach Green tries to navigate his Vikings toward the playoffs and perhaps beyond. While in Oakland, there's a new sheriff in town as the Raiders come back home in '95 to resurrect their glorious past. Jeff is out to prove the Raiders' future is well in hand. And Timmy agrees. Meantime, Warren and the Vikes can just taste that title. And the Crisp Bears ready to break some more. And now, here's our own front line, minus those good-looking pads. The boys from Hollywood, the NFL on Fox.
Back inside the familiar confines of Studio 7 here in Hollywood, California. Good to have you along with us. And good evening, everyone. I'm James Brown, and thanks for joining us. It's our second week of the NFL on Fox. And joining me, the whole gang is in place tonight. Dr. Bradshaw, working on his PhD.
Well, James, I was involved in some very ethereal discussions in preparation for my doctorate.
Added a word to his vocabulary, Jimmy Johnson.
Look that baby up.
And we've got Howie with us.
Who is this guy?
Well, it's awfully good to have Howie, but I would have to be the first to admit that last week's show from Toronto was probably one of the smoothest shows that we've ever had. Other than our demographics from 8 to 10, the young people's department was a little bit down.
Without Howie?
Without the big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Howie, isn't it nice to be back?
I love you guys.
All right, folks, let's talk about the game tonight. Oakland, AFC West, Minnesota, NFC Central. What about the West? Is Oakland for real?
I think they are. This is a different Oakland team. You know, the offseason program before was left up to the players' discretion on how much you wanted to work out. It's a regimented routine now. Practice has been crisper, tighter, a lot more efficient. They have this wide receiver core that's probably the fastest wide receiver core ever assembled in the NFL, but they threw 80-some-odd, 90 balls to Tim Brown. Didn't spread the ball around. Rocket Ismail was running his own routes last year. They are on the same page. Jeff Hostetler will have a lot more input. Mike White, who is a Bill Walsh disciple, will evolve that team into a championship team in the AFC.
Well, now, certainly someone would think that as far as the West is concerned, San Diego will have something to say about that.
Well, I was in San Antonio watching them practice this week, and quite honest.
Week 3 of the preseason, John, and different coaches look for different things at this point. Sometimes you want to look at your regulars a little bit longer, get them in shape for the final time, hope they don't get hurt next week. And you have a cut-down date on Tuesday facing you. What do you look for?
Well, you know, I think the cut-down date, I think that's a players' thing. I mean, there's going to be 20 players on each team that aren't going to be here after this game. But I think the coach's part of it is this is really time that you can look at your team. And I always felt that, you know, the first couple games you got a lot of players and you're playing a lot of guys. The last game you're just getting ready for the first game of the season. And this is the week to really see where your team is.
And the Oakland Raiders, one of tonight's participants, of course, are the Oakland Raiders again. They have a new coach in Mike White. What do you expect from them?
Well, I think everything is going to be new. I mean, you mentioned Mike White, their new head coach, and then they have a whole new assistant coaching staff, and then that means they're going to have a new offense, a new defense, new special teams. And what Mike White wants to get in this team is he wants to get discipline. He wants to get the penalties down. And on offense, he wants to get Hostetler some confidence. He wants to get him back, give him better pass protection, but get rid of the ball quicker. You know, get back, get rid of the ball quickly, have shorter pass patterns. In fact, one of the interesting things they're going to do tonight, Pat, is they're going to use a no-huddle offense. Now, this isn't a hurry-up type of thing. This is just a no-huddle where you get up on the line of scrimmage, and then you look and you see how the defense lines up or adjust, and then you, the quarterback, Hostetler will call his own plays. He will call the play. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And again, I think that's all about Jeff Hostetler helping him, just giving him the team.
Now, the Vikings have been in the playoffs every year since Denny Green has been here. What about them this year? Are they as good as they have been in the past 3 years?
The Hubert Humphrey Dome in Minneapolis. But a good crowd on hand nevertheless. The Vikings have won the toss as you look at Warren Moon, who will open at quarterback and play perhaps even a half tonight. The new kicker for the Oakland Raiders, I don't know how long new is going to last, Joe Nedney. He was with Green Bay, played at San Jose State, set a lot of records collegiately, kicked a 60-yard field goal, in fact, so he's got a good leg. He'll open the proceedings tonight. Left-footed. Vikings, a good return by Amp Lee. Here is a look at the Minnesota offense. Warren Moon, the trigger man. 12 years he's been in the NFL. In front of him, a big offensive line. Chris Hinton has been held out of the preseason so far, but he'll start tonight. Randall McDaniel, one of the best players in the league. Todd Stussy, a rising star. Ant Lee, Jake Reed, Chris Carter, Padre Ismail, and Jake Reed. This is Carter on the move. And Moon to throw it. Intended for Jake Reed, incomplete. Let's have a look at the Raider defensive unit. The four up front: Pat Swilling, Chester McLaughlin, Jerry Ball, the linebackers, Frederickson, Deckard, Lewis, Anderson, Bates, and McDaniel, the secondary. Vikings ready to go. No huddle. Am Lee was the lone setback. The pass is caught by Padre Ismail.
You know, it was interesting, Pat. We mentioned that the Raiders were going to start off with no huddle, and here in this game, the Vikings start off with no huddle. They have yet to huddle up.
Well, there seems to be a move around the NFL to put the game back in the quarterback's hands, and this is one way to do it. Make him do the thinking, or let him do the thinking, whichever you prefer. Am Lee fighting for the starting spot. There was some question about who would start at the running back position for Minnesota. It's Amp Lee.
Well, you see what they can do with this no huddle is just line up on the line of scrimmage. Warren Moon, the quarterback, can now look at, he knows his formation, and he can look at the adjustments and call the plays right here.
Moon to throw it. Harder to catch it. Not enough for a first down, but into Raider territory. Stopped by James Trapp.
Hey, Warren Moon wants a huddle on this play, and I think that this is one time that you have to do it because you have to make sure that everyone knows the play, that you have the right people in there. We're talking about short yardage, and that everyone has the right snap count, because on this it's just who gets off first.
It'll be Scotty Graham, the deep back. Graham gets the carry and the first down. Inside the Raider 35 to about the 33, stopped by Mike Jones.
You know, they put John Jarek in there as the fullback, and he was the guy, remember, number 46, who used to be a guard.
Yep.
And they moved him to tight end, but he's also, during preseason anyway, he's the lead back in the backfield.
They had used Randall McDaniel in that spot in previous years, and he said to us yesterday, I'm glad they haven't found me yet.
Well, he says every year they don't do it in the preseason, and once the season starts, they put him in there.
This is Amp Lee back in on first down as the deep back. Boom. Gets rid of it, and it's picked off by McLaughlin. Lateral back to James Trapp, and James Trapp will take it into the end zone and score.
Once McLaughlin got it, he knew he didn't want it. He wanted to get it to Trapp, who's the fastest man in the NFL. I think if you have the ball and you're running with it, you're a big old lineman, and you say, I don't want this thing, who do I want to give it to? You look for number 37.
Give it to the fastest guy. Watch McLaughlin.
Yeah, here he's running now. He knows that he's not going to run all the way to the end zone. He said, where's 37? Wow, there he is.
Good pitch.
And I'll tell you, once he gets that ball, no one is going to catch Trapp.
Jaeger will try the extra point. Gossett the holder. Jaeger's good. And it's 7-0. The Viking offense hasn't been on the field yet. I'm sorry, the Raider offense hasn't been on the field yet. They lead 7-0. We're in the Dome, and the Raiders lead the Vikings 7-0. Interception by McLaughlin, who pitched it back like a split T quarterback to Trapp.
You know, there's Floyd Peters talking to Chester McLaughlin there. He's looking at the images there. That was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
We see more and more of that, where a defensive lineman starts to rush, and then pulls out, and they call that zoning behind a blitz, and that's what McLaughlin did. He started, then he pulled out. I don't think Warren Moon saw him there because he was being rushed.
They had the pressure on Moon, no question about it. Mendy again kicked off. David Palmer on the return. Here's that play, John.
Yeah, now here's one of the new things you see, where you see a defensive tackle lined up here, and then he starts to rush. Now you get the rush from outside, and he drops out and zones. Now you're going to see McLaughlin, you see him start up, then he just stops his rush. You see him out here? He's just standing right there. Now Moon doesn't see him, and he throws that thing out. Now how McLaughlin knew the trap was behind him, I have no idea.
And how Moon can't see McLaughlin, because he's huge.
Hey, when you can run that fast, you can do things like that.
1st and 10 Minnesota. Moon still the quarterback. Incomplete, a bouncing shot in the direction of Ampley, but a flag downfield.
That's downfield in the area of pass interference.
Pat Swilling put the heat on Moon. Jerry Markbright.
Illegal contact, number 33, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Number 33 is the safety, the free safety, Eddie Anderson, starting for his first time this year.
Yeah. 7-0.
Swilling's putting some heat on him.
Oakland Raiders ahead. Blitz. Ampley the draw.
Well, that's one thing to do to the blitz. Just run right at it. Then you're going to see him split the blitz. You're going to see the blitz come here, and Ampley is just going to split the blitz and the stunt and just hit this hole right in here. See, they got the stunt, they got the blitz, they just pick it off. They pick off the blitz, they let Nolan Harrison go up the field, and whap, they just run right by him.
Key block by Randall McDaniel. 1st and 10 Minnesota. As Moon is back to throw it. Outside Carter.
You know, Chris Carter caught 122 passes last year. Of course, you know, and some of them are like that. I mean, I think that's one of the things around the NFL that you see this short passing game. Sometimes a guy will catch your pass for just 1 or 2 yards, like that one.
2nd and 8. They got 2. Ampley, the deep back. Fake to Lee. Moon rolls right. Looking for a place to go. Got some room. And a slide by Warren Moon. Just shy of a first down. Nolan Harrison and McLaughlin put the heat on Moon.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you see McLaughlin here, Pat, how he starts in here, and then he's going to run right down the line. Harrison gets a pressure, and they kind of squeeze him right here. But you know, a guy lines up at tackle like 91. You see him? And then he just starts like right. And then the ball, as they start to scramble, he just scrambles right along with Warren Moon.
3rd and short. Enough for a first, but only a couple of yards on that completion to Chris Carter.
One of the things Warren Moon was talking about the other day is getting his whole body in sync. He said, you know, when you can't use your shoulder, then you can't use your arm, then you can't work your hips and your legs and your feet and everything together. And he said, so you can do them by parts, but until your shoulder is okay, you can't work your entire passing motion.
You don't think about, you talk about a guy having a great arm, you don't think about the bottom part of the body being a part of it. Offside. Somebody jump.
Well, you know, Troy Aikman always says that the most important thing are your feet, not your arms.
False start, number 61, offense. Prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty.
Everett Lindsay, number 61.
You see big Jerry Ball jump up here. Watch, if someone's going to move, watch big old Ball move here. He sees all it takes is a little move like that. And I'll tell you, Jerry Ball is going to be across that line of scrimmage.
Jerry Ball's weight is unknown, but he's still very quick.
I don't even think you talk about that. And he lines up as close to the ball as he can. Jerry Ball looks like he's offside most of the time.
He is. He is.
We said that too loud. But he has short arms, and he says you always have to get as much of the ball. There's no way he can play with not getting right up on the ball.
Encroachment, number 93. Defense, contact prior to any snap. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You think his arms are short or his body's just wide?
Well, he has a wide body and short arms attached to it. And that's what he is. And he has good sweat, and he wears short pants, too. I think, you know, Jerry Ball doesn't waste a lot of clothing on pants. The length of pants.
What he does utilize is crowded. 1st and 10, Minnesota. And Moon will throw. Pump fake. Going deep. Carter. Incomplete. Beg your pardon, Jake Reed. Moon had to do that all with arm because he was under pressure.
I think he does, but watch number 24 get over here. You see, he's a safety. Now, he got held a little. That's Patrick Bates, and then he takes off, and he really makes up something there because he gets in there right at the end to knock that ball out of there.
That's a heck of a play.
That was because, you know what he did? He was back there. He had good position, Patrick Bates did, and then he got held. Then he had to make up. He lost a couple steps, but he made up those couple of steps.
2nd and 10. Carter on the move. Raiders showed blitz, then backed out of it. Pass complete to Jake Reed. That's the pass that's in vogue.
Now that's what you call a timing pass. When you watch Warren Moon get back here, when that back foot, that right foot stops, plants, he's going to throw the ball. Watch, 1, 2, 3, boom. He just throws it out there. And at the same time, Jake Reed is out there making that cut. Now watch him. 1, 2, 3, boom. So as Warren Moon takes 1, 2, 3 steps back, Jake Reed is taking 1, 2, 3 steps forward and breaking.
That was just about perfect execution. This is Scotty Graham, I believe. And Graham picks up about 5.
That's what Warren Moon was talking about. You know, it's just that the Minnesota Vikings brought Warren Moon in here from the Houston Oilers, and it was like he just had to do it himself. You know, like Warren pass every time, and again, 600 times is too much. And he wants to be able to have a balanced game this year where everything isn't on his shoulders, where he just has to pass all the time, but can mix in the run. And mix it in effectively and stay with it.
2nd down. Moon fakes to Graham under pressure. Pat Swilling wrapped him up.
Yeah, that was a fake. Everett Lindsey, numbered 61, was trying to get out there. He just couldn't get out there to lead here to make the block. And you see, it's going to be a fake. Now, watch 61 Lindsey get out there. He couldn't get Swilling. Swilling didn't go for the fake. You expect him by the run fake to be held inside. Swilling just kept going up the field. Lindsey, who was supposed to trap him, couldn't reach him.
Well, they didn't bring him. The Raiders didn't acquire him to stop the run.
They acquired him just to watch the passer at all times, and that's what he's doing.
Moon back to throw it again. Again under pressure. Pass incomplete.
That was a wrong pattern. Somehow Carter and Reed ended up right together. I think you can see Jake Reed is giving one of those shrug things. You know how you do when you just shrug your shoulders like you don't know what happened?
This is Aaron Wallace. He puts the pressure on Moon.
But this is one thing you never want to happen, where you get, if you can just stop it right there and you just get 2 receivers right in the same place, that brings too many defenders in there. Chris Carter was also in there.
Mike Saxon will punt it for Minnesota. Tim Brown back deep for the Raiders. Saxon aiming for out of bounds. Gets it out at about the 13. The Raiders lead it 7-0 on the interception by McLaughlin. Minnesota nothing. Raider offensive unit on the field for the first time, led by Jeff Hostetler. That's the offensive line. Turk in place of Mosbar at center. Backs and receivers, Harvey Williams, Derek Fenner, Tim Brown, Jet, and Glover, the tight end. They go, however, with 3 wide receivers. Hostetler back to throw. Andrew Glover. Let's look at the Viking defense. Hostetler, no huddle. 2nd and 4. Hostetler back again. Pass caught by Glover again. The Viking defense shredded so far by Hostetler and company. The front 4, Smith, Randall, Tuaolo. The linebackers, McDaniel, Del Rio, and Broderick Thomas. And the secondary, Dwayne Washington, Mincy Barnett, and Donald Frank. 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Harvey Williams is the deep back. Hostetler will throw it again. Tim Brown near midfield.
This is an interesting thing now. Again, this is just no huddle. It's not hurry up. And if you can watch this, you can see that there's no hurry here. Jeff Hostetler's just lining the guys up. He's just kind of talking to him. He's looking at the Viking personnel. Calling the play is Tiger.
Hostetler under pressure will take off a flag on the play. Flag thrown back in the backfield. It would indicate holding. Roy Barker put a little pressure.
Again, when the Raiders go no huddle, Hostetler calls the plays.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 71, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Number 71 is the left tackle, Gerald Perry. You're going to see Perry right here. Again, when they want to jab with that inside hand, that right hand, and you see he got that right hand up to the face, and he left it there. In fact, he got it inside the face mask and left it there.
That's one thing you don't want to do, is leave it there.
No, you got to jab with that hand. You bring it across, you throw that jab in there, but you don't want to keep it inside the mask.
That could be dangerous, too. 2nd down. 4.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter. Vikings blitz. Hostetler goes deep, perfectly thrown. Darrell Hobbs. Hostetler saw him coming.
Yeah, this is the thing that you can do. You know, you can throw it up quickly. Watch Hobbs out here, number 80. He's just going boom. He just uses his speed, gets beyond the defensive back, and Hostetler throws a perfect pass. You know, every time you throw quickly, that doesn't mean you have to throw short. You can throw long and throw quickly, and that's just what we saw there.
Raiders 1st and 10. Minnesota 35. Pass complete to Harvey Williams. Williams inside the 25, about the 23.
This no huddle stuff is starting to look pretty good.
Yeah.
Jeff Hostetler looks very calm running it. Again, you know, that thing they have in their helmets where they call the plays, the Raiders have turned that off. This is all Jeff Hostetler.
He said he didn't want to be calling a play and have somebody talking to him at the same time. Maybe he had not to think about television. There's Harvey Williams. To the line of scrimmage, not much more.
You know, one of the things the Raiders changed their play calling, and now what they do is instead of numbers, they have a name for every pass pattern. So all Jeff Hostetler has to do is call a name, and that tells everyone what to do on that pass pattern.
That was Joe Bugle on the left. New to the Raiders this year, was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Jeff Hostetler, the ex-Giant. The Raiders have the speed. Out of bounds is James Jett. Boy, is he ever appropriately named.
That's one thing when you're a defensive back, and of course that one was on Donald Frank, who used to be with the Raiders. You know that you're going to get that, and as I said, every quick pass doesn't have to be a short pass. That's the second time we saw that same thing. Quick three-step drop, just throwing that ball deep. That was just a little off.
Very little.
Yeah, the one to Darryl Hobbs on the other side was perfect.
2:38 left in the first quarter. 7-0 Raiders. Hostetler had a man open. Hobbs, and I believe it was picked off by Jack Del Rio on a rebound. Jack Del Rio.
The ball was a perfect pass, just throwing the Hobbs and just bounced right out. Del Rio hustling, getting back there, came up with it.
And so the Vikings take over at their own 9. Intercepted. Hostetler's pass on a rebound. It wasn't Hostetler's fault. So that stopped the Raiders inside the Viking 10. They lead 7-0. Vikings ball. And about the 8. Moon gets it to Jake Reed. They've got that one down pretty well. Eddie Anderson on the stop.
One thing about Warren Moon, everyone's rushing him. You know that Warren Moon's going to pass the ball. You know the Vikings are going to pass. They're putting pressure. Pat Swilling was really coming hard off that corner, but Warren Moon has been doing this so long that it doesn't affect him at all.
First and 10 Vikings at their own 23. Draw play. This is Scotty Graham. First down, Minnesota. Terry McDaniel made the stop.
Yeah, the thing that Warren Moon was talking about is mixing some of this. Here's Scotty Graham. Now, after you pass, you start back, and then you just hand on a draw, hoping to get a pass rush and have everyone run by, and then just be able to hit the draw. So you make it look like a pass, then boom, in the draw play, you just hand it to the running back and let him run past the pass rushers.
Lead the Minnesota Vikings. The rushing yards. The Raiders have only had the ball one time. A -1 total.
Yeah, they only ran the ball once.
They only ran the ball once.
Yeah, they had that no huddle, and
yeah,
every time was a pass. Just one.
First and 10 Minnesota. This is Scotty Graham. Couple of yards. Tough one.
Yeah, the best friend of a quarterback, I always said, is a good running game. And the thing that Warren Moon was saying, and it's so true, that when you become a passing team, it's hard to be a good running team because you never stay with it. You'll give it a chance like here. First down, you run one, you gain a yard, and say, okay, that's enough run. Let's go back and start throwing. He said sometimes you just have to come back and run again.
But sometimes the linemen get passive.
They always get passive.
When all you do is throw it. Moon. Flag on the play. Moon's pass caught by Jordan.
I think this is going to be holding against the Vikings. Todd Stussy. I think he tackled Chester McLaughlin. I saw them both on the ground rolling.
Holding.
There.
Clean takedown.
Number 61, offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, it was Everett Lindsay. It wasn't Stussy. Here's what it looks like. There's Chester McLaughlin. You see Everett Lindsay. He just takes him. Yeah. He just takes him with his left arm.
There's a takedown.
That is a takedown. See, he grabbed him. He held him from behind, and then he grabbed him in the front and pulled from behind and pushed from the front. And he sandwiched old Big McLaughlin in there.
That's a big sandwich.
Well, you know what happens? Chester McLaughlin's so big that if you don't get something on him before he gets started, all you have to do is hold on.
They list him at 320. Played at Clemson.
But he was saying yesterday, he said, I know one thing, when you play against Chester McLaughlin, he said, you got to beat him on that first step or you don't have a chance.
Once that boat gets floating. Here's Moon back to throw it. Goes deep to Carter, overthrew it. Carter had broken off his pattern and cut it upfield. Moon read it, but couldn't quite get it there.
And you know, that can happen when you get good pass protection. The Raiders, that was one of the few times so far they had no pressure whatsoever on Warren Moon. And if you look at this kind of time, just watch this pass protection here and the time that Moon has. He looks to his left, he scrambles a little to the right, but there was no one around him, so he could wait for that pump and go and have Chris Carter going up the sideline.
3rd and 18. 18 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The Raiders lead by a touchdown. Screen pass to Amp Lee. Not quite enough for the first. Stopped by McLaughlin and Swilling. Jerry Ball with an assist.
When that happens, when you get 2 defensive linemen on a tackle 15 yards downfield, that is hustling.
End of the first quarter. Raiders 7, Vikings nothing.
When you're a big defensive lineman, you have to rush the passer. So you start rushing, you're working. Now, once he throws it, if we stop it here, now here you are. Now here's the ball. Now you have to chase it this way. So you go from a pass rusher to a run defender. And watch Chester McLaughlin come and catch that from behind and stop it short of a first down. Because that was 3rd and 18, and he stopped that thing at 17 yards.
4th and 2, and Darryl Hobbs back for the Raiders. Mike Saxon will punt it for Minnesota. At about the 21. Taken down after a short return. Jerry Markbright. Raiders will get their second offensive go at it. But there's a flag. They declined the penalty. You're talking about playoffs. 18 times since the early 60s when they came in as an expansion team. The Vikings have been in the playoffs. Ostetler back to throw it. To Williams. Out of bounds, lost the ball, but out of bounds.
Yeah, that's one of those things when you go to that quick passing game and that, you know, everything's short. You have to have some of those passes like that to Harvey Williams. You just throw in lieu of a run. You know, I mean, you can run the ball in there or throw a little loop and gain 3 or 4 yards. And that is like a first down pass in lieu of a run. You only gain 2 yards, so you're going to run it.
2nd and 8. Ostetler ready to go in a hurry again. Gives the ball to Williams. Now you got your run. And they got more yards.
And then this is the biggest down in football. You know, when you get that, when you don't have any penalties or anything, and you get that 3rd and 3 where you're not short yardage, where you can't put in your big guys, it's still a passing down, but you have to have a pass that can get you about 4 or 5 yards, and the defense knows it.
3rd and 3. Ostetler calling the play. outside Kerry Cash this time.
That's why it's the biggest play in football, because you can't do that. I mean, that's
you don't
the
get
thing.
a first down.
No. If you only have 3rd and 3, you have to at least run a 4-yard pattern. Now, I'll never understand that. They're never going to explain to me how they can have 3rd and 3 and throw a 2-yard pattern. I'll never understand that.
It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't take really too much analysis to figure that one out.
Well, the theory is, their answer is, well, the guy's supposed to catch it and run with it, but you got to give credit to the defense.
Gossip's punt by David Palmer. Flag on the play.
Boy, that guy saw something. That official, he really threw that in. He threw that flag about 35 yards in the air.
Stayed in the air 35 years.
Well, talking about 35 years, did you see in the Vikings jersey, they have an emblem on it that is their 35th year, their 35th anniversary as a team. They're 35 years old.
So 18 out of 35, they've been in the playoffs.
Illegal block. Number 31, receiving team. On the return, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Scotty Graham called for the illegal block. 7-0. The Oakland Raiders leading Minnesota. So the Vikings have the ball. The Raiders leading 7-0. Early in the second quarter. 13 minutes and 8 seconds left before the half. Warren Moon.
He's talking back there to Jerry Markbright, the referee. Jerry's laughing.
He's not playing.
Couldn't have been anything too serious.
Brad Johnson, Moon's backup, warming up on the sideline, and now it looks like he's through with his warm-up, so this might be Moon's last sequence. Denny Green said he wanted to play a lot, but that's my decision to make. Here's Moon to throw it. Chris Carter and Moon in a mix-up. He's saying that's my fault.
Yeah, he was running one pattern and Moon was throwing another one. And then Chris Carter knew immediately whose fault it was.
Saying, don't stop throwing it to me just because we misread. I don't think he will. 2nd and 10. That's James Stewart, who's been the best of the Viking runners in preseason. And I think that sort of surprised everybody.
And that was a trap play, and Stewart hit that one perfectly. The left guard pulled across. Stewart got right in behind. We just watch. We'll see the trap come right across there. See the left guard pull. There's a trap right there. In fact, Stewart had to make a little move to get around the trap.
Stewart again broke one tackle in the backfield.
Like when we were talking to Dennis Green, he said the biggest surprise in this camp has been this guy right here, number 28, James Stewart. He said he has done everything. In fact, they think that he could be the starting running back. Right. He's a 5th-round draft choice. I think they just don't want to give him position. You know, I mean, Amp Lee may be the guy. You got Scotty Graham. But I think in training camp right now, this guy has been their best running back.
James Stewart is 6'2" and 245. So he brings a load. Here's Moon back to throw it. Pass caught by his tight end, Andrew Jordan. Near first down yardage, stopped by Folston.
Seems like as long as we've been doing Minnesota Viking games, Pat, they've had a tight end by name of Jordan, haven't they?
Yep. They even brought Steve Jordan back last year.
Yeah, remember he was an engineer. He was getting ready to go on a trip, and they called him the day before he left, and he came back and played again.
Well, he was one of the best ever at that position. 3rd and short, about a foot.
Follow your fullback.
Did. Stewart. I don't think he got it. It's going to be close.
The Raiders knew that too. They were keying on the lead back. John Jarek was in there, the guy that we said moved from guard to tight end, and they put him in as a back on short yardage. And he led in there.
And they got it.
Stewart got right in behind him, but that was awfully close.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Here's your lead back, and he just comes right there, and you just want to get, boom, he gets that block there, and that's just enough to get you the first down.
And if he doesn't follow him, he doesn't stay right there, they don't get it. Now they're going to bring out the measuring sticks and measure it. He may not have gotten it.
You know why? It didn't look like he got it because he kind of went sideways when he got hit in there.
Well,
he didn't get it. Now they got that much. Now it's fourth down. I think you know what the play here is to do is to go for it and quarterback sneak. With Warren Moon and a shoulder, I wouldn't quarterback sneak. I mean, I don't care what the play is. I would give it to the tailback again. I wouldn't have Warren Moon quarterback sneak.
well, they send in the play from the sideline. He looks like he's having some difficulty with the communication with the coach on the sideline. Now they're seeing if they got enough players.
Well, they only had 10. Now they got 11.
The ex-guard wasn't in there. The lead blocker you were talking about.
He's going to be the lead blocker if they're going to run because, again, the play should be a quarterback sneak, but I wouldn't do it. That's a good play there, too.
Yeah. If you can get them off sides, that'll work.
Oh, yeah, that's a trick. Go up there, go on the long count. Tell everyone in the huddle, hold your water, and then you go and you give them those hard counts.
Number 99, defense. 5-yard
Andre
penalty.
Bruce.
First down.
If you're going to jump off sides, this is a good way to do it. This is with some authority.
Yeah, if you're going to go. You know, because you're going to have to hit that gap, and you have to hit that gap low. And short yardage defense, every guy is given a gap. Warren Moon put that thumb up. I got him that time. At least that was a heck of a lot better play than a quarterback sneak with a 40-year-old quarterback with a bad shoulder.
Carter's the move man. Moon rolls behind him, fires upfield incomplete. Flag on the play.
They're going to call a penalty on that one.
On Derek Hoskins.
They aren't going to let that stuff go in this league anymore. They used to let that go where guys would take shots at receivers coming across and so on, but they aren't going to anymore. That's going to be a 15-yard penalty against the Raiders.
Adrian Cooper was the intended receiver.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 31, defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
You see, once a ball is beyond there and there's no way that he can catch it, then he's unprotected. They just called it on the wrong guy. They said number 31. Just called it on the wrong guy. That was on Derek Hoskins, number 20.
A couple of guys got fined this week. We'll hear more about that at the half.
Yeah, Lloyd in Pittsburgh for hitting Brett Favre got fined $12,000.
Yeah. That'll get your attention. Here's Boone to throw. And going deep. And incomplete. The pressure was on again. Anthony Smith led the defensive charge.
He and James Folston, number 55, the linebacker. You see they had a blitz coming up the middle, and Moon just threw that one away. I mean, he had two guys coming free like a jailbreak, and there was nothing he could do about that one. He wasn't going to complete that. In fact, he got his number one knocked crooked.
This Raider defense, coached by a new defensive coordinator, Floyd Peters, is getting off the ball and attacking.
Floyd Peters, you just rush the passer every down.
They're getting it done. That's Ham lead to the 40. Jerry Ball on the tackle.
This is why it's hard to run in here. Watch big Jerry Ball here. I mean, he is big and he's low to the ground. He got those short arms, and right now he just moves and kind of headbutts you, and he just feels pressure and fights against pressure. One guy, boom, he threw him off. Took another guy, boom, threw him off, and made the tackle right in the line of scrimmage.
That's a good play.
Floyd Peters, Lloyd Peters doesn't teach that stuff as much as he teaches pass rush.
No. Here's Moon buried by Andre Bruce. Warren was saying yesterday that his shoulder feels fine. He's throwing without pain, but he'll have some pain if that continues.
He doesn't want too many shots like that. Andre Bruce is right here. He's the outside pass rusher. They try and block him with a back, and a back just bumped him. It looked like maybe it was a screen pass, but you have to put more on that, on Bruce, than that. It's a little bump, and maybe he was trying to get out here for the screen. But if you're going to block, you got to stand in there and block. And even if you're going to bump, you have to give more than that.
Saxon to kick it. Good one. Tim Brown fields it at the 15. Been doing this a long time. Whoa, he almost broke it. Just tripped up was Tim Brown by Chris Walsh.
Like you say, that was a heck of a play by Chris Walsh, because if he doesn't do that, he's a backup wide receiver, special teams guy out of Stanford. If he doesn't make that play, I think Tim Brown had the whole field.
17-yard return as it was after the punt by Saxon, but a penalty on the play.
Maybe for Tim Brown. In fact, Tim Brown last night said he didn't expect to return any punts tonight. Of course, the guy he thought would do that is Rocket Ismail, who didn't even suit up.
Right.
So that
We
probably
have a personal foul.
Well, he suited up, but no pass.
Post-possession, while the kick was in the air, number 23 of the receiving team hit a man that had gone out of bounds.
Well, there's a new penalty.
Is 1st and 10.
There's Raghib.
Half the distance to the goal.
I don't know. I don't consider that suiting up. When you have your jersey and no shoulder pads, a Band-Aid on your nose, and a baseball cap or a visor, that's not suiting up.
The visor's the giveaway. Minnesota nothing. Pat Summerall with John Madden at the Dome in Minneapolis. Napoleon Kaufman is the deep back, and the Raiders like him. Incomplete. James Jett from Hostetler didn't connect.
Napoleon Kaufman, as you say, Pat, the Raiders like him. They just want to get the ball in his hands anyway. He's their #1 draft choice, and he is an exciting guy when he gets his hands on the ball.
Hostetler still no huddle.
Now this is a tough position, your own 5-yard line.
Hostetler deep, incomplete. Intended for Tim Brown. And a sandwich. Mincy was one of the cover men.
You know, one of the things that the Raiders and Mike White were talking about is eliminating penalties, you know, and getting rid of penalties. And the play that put him in this hole, instead of being at midfield with a good punt return, is being backed up because they had a 15-yard penalty on the punt return.
Hostetler at the goal line. Complete. Hobbs. First down, Raiders. Out by Donald Frank.
This is what it looks like from behind. This is what a quarterback sees. Again, you can't watch the pass rush. You can feel it, and that steps you up. You see, he steps up, and he sees that deep in coming there. You feel the rush. He felt the rush coming to his outside, stepped up, found Hobbs running that deep in and hit him perfectly.
Once you start looking at the rush, instead of feeling the rush, you got problems.
Oh, you did. Then you got to get out of play, and you got to go do something else.
1st and 10. That's Kaufman. A stumbling gain of about 9. A pretty good run.
Well, yeah, Kaufman is one of those guys that doesn't have to be a 3rd down back. I think at the University of Washington, I think he carried the ball more than anyone else, or gained more yardage than anyone did in his career. So he's a guy that you can put in there and play. It doesn't just have to be a specialist.
built along the lines of Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. I'm not saying he's as good as they are, but built along those lines. Flag on the play. Pass incomplete.
I'll tell you, either Broderick Thomas really got off in the snap of the ball or he left early, because he came off that corner like he was shot out of a gun.
Offside, number 51, defense.
Yeah, he left
5-yard
early.
penalty, first down.
But here he is right here. Now, we're just watching. You can see, yep, the ball hasn't been snapped. There he is. But that's a way to beat that tackle is just leave before he sets up. I think Broderick Thomas is going to be quite an addition to this defensive team, because he's always going to go right or left away from the side that John Randall goes as the tackle.
That way they think they'll be able to pressure the passer from both sides. Blitz coming. They pick it up. Hostetler goes deep. He saw it coming. James Jett, the intended receiver, but there was nothing there.
You know, he was looking for that one tight one-on-one coverage, and what he really got was a blitz, and he got a double coverage that he threw into. So that's good defense by the Vikings, when you can blitz and also double cover the guy that they're throwing to.
That's hard to do. Hard to work out those numbers like that.
You know something.
Yeah.
You may know what Hostetler's calling now.
Hostetler ducks under the pressure. John Randall, you were just talking about him, John.
Yeah, there's a pass rusher. John Randall's one of the best defensive linemen in the league. And you see he's lining up right here, and he's just one of those guys that gets underneath and just works and works and works and works. He goes against Gogan, he gets Gogan going back, he goes around Gogan and just keeps going until he gets his sack.
Light for a tackle, but he just keeps, like you said, going.
Well, he's only 6'1". When he first came into pro ball, they told him to go to the linebacker meeting. He said, no, I'm a defensive lineman.
Pass is picked off. Esra Tuaolo. But a flag on the play back at the line of scrimmage. Tuaolo gets it down to about the 11. These defensive linemen.
Chester McLaughlin got one early, and now Tuaolo.
Hostetler made the stop.
And there was a little fight down there at the end of that play, too. A lot of action down there.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 71, offense, penalty decline, first down.
First down, Minnesota. New quarterback, Minnesota. Brad Johnson.
That's Tuaolo. He's coming right up the middle. He just breaks loose. He hits the ball with his left hand and then his right hand and tips it back inside again. Hostetler had to make that tackle. At least if you're going to throw one, then you got to make the tackle. That'll make tacklers out of quarterbacks.
17-yard return after the interception by Tuaolo. Brad Johnson, the quarterback.
Big night for defensive tackles.
Yeah. Johnson fires incomplete. That's good coverage. Flag on the play, however. A flag on the player. Andre Ismail, the intended receiver.
Defense, automatic first down.
Looked like a good play. Looked very close.
This is another one of those timing passes down here. That slant. Johnson goes 1, 2, 3, throws that slant right in there. That's good defense. I mean, that's a bad call. I think the crowd got that one for the Vikings. If a defensive back can't do that, he can't play. That one was wrong.
Called against Mustafa. First down. James Stewart, the ball carrier.
Yeah, as you say, James Stewart is a big guy. He weighs 245 pounds, but he has to learn in short yardage to run lower, to get behind those shoulder pads. You can't go straight up like that in there. There's going to be a lot of hitting and a lot of guys low, and you got to get lower.
He doesn't look like he weighs 245.
I know he's a pretty big guy, but you got to get behind those shoulder pads.
Yep. See
how he's standing straight up there? The minute you get hit, you're going to go down or sideways or backwards. You're not going to go forward in that position.
Flags everywhere.
Ball start, number 67, offense. Prior to the snap.
The interesting thing, they took James Stewart out, the rookie, and they put number 30, Bobby Phillips, in, who's another rookie.
And who they like.
Yeah, Dennis Green said his two biggest surprises were Stewart and Phillips. Phillips was a free agent from Virginia Union, not drafted. Well, maybe he didn't like the way Stewart looked down there in the goal line, because Stewart didn't look very good on that earlier. Remember on that short yardage run, he didn't look good. He didn't look good on that first goal line run.
So straight up.
So he wants to take a look and see how Phillips runs down there.
Second down. And back at about just outside the 5, about the 6. Johnson in the middle, touchdown. The Viking. Andrew Jordan made the catch on the throw from Brad Johnson.
Well, the Vikings sent Brad Johnson to play in the World League this year to get some playing experience. He played for England, and he said that really helped him, just being able to run a team, have a game, play a whole game. And he looks like he's been there before now, doesn't he?
6-yard touchdown pass. Did look good. Saxon will hold, and Fuad Rivez to try to tie it up. Seven tie. 5 minutes and 22 seconds left to play in the first half, and we have a tie. 7-7. Right here at 7-7. The Vikings and the Oakland Raiders.
That has a good sound to it,
does.
doesn't it? Yep, the Oakland Raiders against the Vikings. That has a good sound to it, too.
Rivez kickoff is very short. Tyrone Montgomery fielded it. So the Raiders will take over. See if they have a new quarterback. It's still Hostetler. 7-7 tie. 7-7 tie. With 5:13 left to play in the first half. The Raiders and the Vikings. Hostetler. Harvey Williams. Flag on the play, and a loss by the Vikings. Maybe it was an accidental flag. No.
Is there a word, accidental flag? I've heard incidental.
No.
Incidental and accidental.
There is now.
I think that was a real one.
Illegal formation. Offense. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. The tackle was uncovered. Penalty is declined. Second down.
We uncovered the tackle. That could be serious.
What happens is here's where the penalty is. You see, they don't have anyone on the line of scrimmage after this. Although it looks like they got someone on the line of scrimmage on this side, probably not on this side.
Second down and 12. Hostetler back to Williams. Not much there. The Vikings played it well, led by Fernando Smith. And again, a flag on the play.
The Vikings play the run well. You know, they always do that. They have that over and under, and they have that nose tackle cocked in there, and they have a free linebacker, and they're very tough to run against.
Side. 51 defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty.
Broderick Thomas.
Now he's the new guy that they line up again away from John Randall. And I think that's going to help him because they're going to put John Randall on one guard or the other, and then Broderick Thomas on the other side, and blitz him more than they ever have before.
The way Randall lines up, you almost have to designate 2 men to block him, so he's done just by lining up like he does part of his job.
Because he's so good. I mean, he's always going to be on that covered guard.
Hostetler's throw is good. Darrell Hobbs made the catch and got the Raider first down.
That's what speed will do. Dwayne Washington, the corner, was way off of Hobbs. You know, he was worried too much about Hobbs going deep, and they just gave away that out on that side. I think Washington knew it too. I mean, that, you know, you talk about giving cushion. He gave way too much of cushion. Watch, here's the cushion here. Here's Hobbs. Here's Washington. But see how far off he is. And then as the ball is snapped, he just dropped, and he kept that same cushion.
Harvey Williams into Viking territory at about the 45.5-yard line. Mincy made the stop. Rob Holmberg was the Raider having his ankle looked at. Second down. They need 5 for a first. Hobbs split wide left. Intended for James Jett, not Hostetler's best.
One in Springer, who's only 21 years old, their #1 draft choice.
Third down. Viking blitz, flags everywhere.
I don't know that that's not on Broderick Thomas again, although he's arguing that it's illegal motion on the Raiders.
Number 71, offense. Prior to the snap.
Well, he was right this time. Gerald Perry.
Here's Gerald Perry right there. In fact, that's Gerald Perry's 3rd penalty of this half. He's had 2 of those illegal hits to the face, and that time he moved a little early. You know, and one of the things Mike White talked about was eliminating penalties. You can see they've already had in this first half 8 for 57 yards. In fact, they've given the Vikings 4 first downs by penalty.
3rd and 10 for Hostetler. Going away from the no-huddle offense now. Hostetler under pressure, hit just as he let it go. Hobbs, the intended receiver. The pass was high over his head. He was hit by Harlan Barnett.
And Roy Barker really hit Hostetler. Hostetler was moving to his left. Barker is going to come from here, and eventually Hostetler he looks to the left, and then he goes back to the right, and boom, right into Barker there. Whew. Those are the kind that hurt. Those are the kind you don't know they're coming, you don't see them coming, you don't feel them coming. You turn, and there's a big 92.
And there's nothing you can do. Gossett to punt it. High kick. Palmer back to handle it, signals fair catch, and does handle it. Right at the 20. Warren Moon. Chris Carter over on the Viking sideline.
I think anytime a guy throws you 122 completions in a year, you want to sit very close to him on the bench in the preseason. Warren Moon looked good. I think that, you know, he hadn't played a lot in the preseason, and he'd had the bad shoulder, and he felt that he was really behind, but he looked very, very comfortable out there tonight.
Under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think he had better control earlier. His protection started to break down later.
This is Bobby Phillips. At that tailback position, the Vikings are 4 deep. Lee, Graham, Stewart, and Bobby Phillips.
And then they have Robert Smith, who they haven't signed yet.
Right.
There's a holdout, and I've always found sometimes when you have a whole bunch, that means you don't have any, too.
That's a good point.
I mean, if you have Emmitt Smith, they don't say, well, there's 6 guys at tailback in the Dallas Cowboys.
Bobby Phillips back to the line of scrimmage. Not much there. We'll get the 2-minute warning now with the score. The Oakland Raiders 7, Minnesota Vikings 7.
I got hypnotized. I just stirred the Gatorade.
What was he stirring with? It looked like a broom.
It doesn't make any difference. If you're thirsty in a game, you'll drink anything. You know that.
That's true.
He can go back. Yeah, what did you do in your summer vacation? Look, here's the other guy that's going to help him. I threw ice, yeah, but I stirred. See, they don't care. Just throw some more ice in there.
What is that thing?
That's this thing you stir with. Oh. That's a real one. I mean, that's a real. That thing was made to stir with.
It looked like it should have a light bulb in it.
Then you could get hit by lightning. Then you could be like those 4 guys out there in Hollywood. Anything they say doesn't count. This is the thing. Once a backup quarterback goes in, if you had any real good protection, they don't seem to get the same respect from their protectors.
Andre Bruce.
But he hit Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
That's the second time that Andre Bruce came from that same position and was untouched. Amp Lee kind of missed him one time. That time it didn't look like anyone even took a swing at him.
2nd and long, 2nd and 10. Here's Brad Johnson, gets it outside. Very little there. Caught by Chris Walsh. Mustafa on the stop, excuse me.
He's one of those receivers from Stanford, and he just looks like, the guys that Ed McCaffrey, remember him? And it just looks like those guys. We saw the one last week for the Buffalo Bills. Armor, they all look alike.
3rd and 9. Johnson's got to find some place to go. Flag back there with Brad Johnson, and finally he just rolls to the ground.
I think he knew he grabbed it. He got his face mask grabbed.
He saw the flag drop, I think.
He saw that. Well, first of all, he felt the face mask being grabbed, and then he saw the flag, so he knew, why go through any more torture? I'm already going to get the penalty.
That's why he played in Europe, to learn things like that.
Face mask, 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul.
That still won't give him a first down.
That was Austin Robbins there, number 95. I mean, he has the thing now. There's a 5-yard penalty and a 15-yard penalty. You see that? Brad Johnson saw that flag and he knew it.
It is an automatic first down. You heard him say, perhaps, no matter what the yardage.
Now that's the thing that Mike White and his staff and the Raiders really can't be happy about. I mean, that
penalties.
Stuff like that happens, but it's just the overabundance of penalties.
Ooh, very nearly intercepted, and there was nothing there for Mustafa if he came up with that one.
Nothing there except a touchdown. There wasn't any Vikings that were even in a position to make a move.
Nowhere.
He knows it too. But he's going to be right here, and he's just going to be in position. And I think he just throws it out there. When he sees the thing thrown out there, it's thrown right at him. Now watch if he catches that. I mean, he just takes that thing in, and there was nothing.
On 2nd down, Johnson back to throw, batted away. Anthony Smith knocked it backwards.
I'll tell you, about everything has happened bad to Brad Johnson on this series that could happen. We saw him get sacked and knocked down. We saw him get grabbed by the face mask. We saw him almost get intercepted. And then we see Anthony Smith come straight up the line and bat the ball right back where it came from. He said, don't bring that stuff in here.
7-7 tie. 3rd down and 10. Safety blitz coming. Johnson gets it out to Chris Walsh, and they won't get a first down. They might go for it. With the clock running in 35 seconds. Less than that by the time they get it underway. Now they call a timeout.
Charge timeout. Raiders. This is a
Don't forget, again, coming up Dockers halftime with James Brown, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Jimmy Johnson scores.
Do once they aren't, they get out, they take those shoulder pads off and put caps and stuff on. There's no way they're going to sneak back in the game.
One more preseason game to go after this. Big cut down day on Tuesday. Hobbs signals fair catch.
What's old Ball doing there? Ball doesn't want that camera. He says, get that out of here.
This game's presented by authority of the National Football League. Is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League is prohibited.
You know what? He probably thinks we're talking about that jacket he gave me last night. He has a company that makes jackets, leather jackets, and he gave me one last night to give to Nate Newton. I'm going to keep it.
Well, you might as well, because there's no way it's going to fit Nate Newton.
Are the Cowboys playing tonight? I hope Nate didn't hear that.
No, they play in. I think they play in Denver on Monday.
But you never give something to a guy to give to another guy, because the guy you give it to never gives it to the other guy anyway. Look at Paul's looking now. He's looking up. Well, that's okay. I'm not going to give it to him.
Now, if it'll fit him, it might fit Nate.
No, it won't fit him, and that's why he gave it to me to give to Nate, because it wouldn't fit him. And he knows I'm not going to give it to Nate.
Well, so John Madden has a new all-Madden jacket for his own person. 7-7 tie at the half. Going to be a lot of noise about the preseason games being unnecessary, especially after these last two injuries. There have been a lot more. But one thing about it, no matter who gets hurt, no matter how long they're going to be out, no matter what the consequences, and they're unfortunate, yes, but you still got to go ahead and play.
Well, that's part of football, and you can't worry about it. I mean, I think as Jimmy Johnson said, as a coach, you can't say, well, we're getting injuries, so we have to take it easy. I mean, there's only one way to play the game, and you have to get ready to play the game hard, and you have to go out and play as hard as you can. And to do that, you have to practice as hard as you can. And I think whenever a coach or an organization or anyone starts worrying about injuries, then that's when you get more of them. And, it's a tough game. I mean, this is a very physical game, and the things that happen are violent things, and injuries are going to happen. And as I said before the halftime, you hate to see them, but when they do, that's just part of the game.
Well, Howie Long made a good point. He was talking about Greg Lloyd and the hit on Brett Favre, and he said, the mistake was made on behalf of the Packers when they had a tight end and a back trying to block Greg Lloyd, and you just can't get it done. Back to the action here. And let's look at some first half statistics. We have a 7-7 tie. Rushing yardage 13 by the Raiders, 71 by the Vikings. Both teams had said they have to establish a running game, and they come out and throw it most of the time. Penalties are the big concern, I'm sure, of the Raiders. You look at that 9 for 76 yards.
And then the two biggest plays of the game were made by interceptions by defensive tackles.
Right. Billy Joe Hobert is the Raider quarterback. Calvin Jones was the running back.
Billy Joe Hobert was saying, I'll tell you how focused I am now on being a quarterback. As he said a couple of years ago, when he'd go to training camp, there was a golf course right next to the training camp, and during training camp his handicap went down from 4 to scratch,
and now he's a 12.
So he said now he's a 12. He said, so I don't know if that's a definition of dedication, but in my book it is.
When you go for a 4 from a 4 to a scratch, you're working at it. That's Jones again. Hostetler, you saw perhaps his elbow wrapped in an ice pack. I think he's probably through for the night. In fact, I'm sure he's through unless something that you can't anticipate happens. 9 out of 17 for Jeff.
You know who that guy standing next to Jeff Hostetler is there? That was Willie Brown.
What a great player.
Yeah, he was, defensive back. The the greatest corners that ever played the game. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Speaking of great players, one just vacated the booth here a minute ago. Dave Casper, your tight end.
The ghost. I think when you take a look at everything a tight end had to do, you know, block, catch passes, you know, split out wide, whatever you want to do. I think Dave Casper was the best tight end that ever played the game.
And it's funny, you hear about Kellen Winslow, with no disrespect due to him, and you hear about Ditka, you hear about Mackey, you hear about all the great tight ends of the past, but Casper's name is rarely mentioned, and it should be.
I think so. I mean, you know, just knowing the things that he could do and watching the things that he did over the years and the plays that he made, he's the best that I had ever seen.
It's a pretty fine tribute. Hobart. Pass complete, and that'll be enough for a first down. Philip Bobo made the reception. Yeah, speaking of Casper memories, Stabler the thrower.
I don't know how that one came up. I don't know where that one came from, but that was the thing that we used to do, go play pass and throw to Casper. Of course, he had that one great catch he made against Baltimore in the 6th period. That was ghost to the post. They made a poster out of it, as a matter of fact.
The ghost still looks good.
Billy Joe Hobart was saying last night that what he would like to do is just, you know, play a good game. You know, it's not, he said, it's not about statistics, it's not about anything, but it's just being solid, not making mistakes, being a leader, being cool. You know, that kind of game is what he's looking for out of himself.
That's the new Raider head coach, Mike White, 2nd and 11. He was very, very informative and very straightforward with us.
I think he was looking for a smoother first half than he had, though.
Billy Joe Hobart on the move, fires complete to Sean Foster.
Yeah, you like to see that. I mean that's when you know a quarterback. It used to be in high school and college when you could always tell a quarterback was a complete quarterback when he could go back, scramble, run to his left, and throw on the run going to his left.
Why are most of the quarterbacks good golfers?
Because they have more time to play golf than the other guys, and they're not, so especially backup quarterbacks. I mean, when all you do is chart plays, and you can grip and rip the next day.
That's Calvin Jones again. Stopped by Jose White.
You know, one of the guys that over the years has really done a great coaching job here and wherever he's been is Tony Dungy. You always
terrific.
It's just that it seems like any of the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, and anything he does, any situation, you know, whether it's preseason, regular season, against the run, against the pass, real good players, not real good players, they always play well.
Of course, he was a great player himself with the Steelers. Pass incomplete.
Well, you knew when you knew he was going to be a coach is when he was a defensive back and they ran out of quarterbacks and they moved him to quarterback, and that's usually a guy who's going to be a coach, a guy they move from defense or someplace to be quarterback, a backup quarterback.
Pretty good sign.
There's Tony Dungy right there.
Penalty on the play. False start.
77 offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Of course, this year he has some new defensive staff members, so you not only lose like a Henry Thomas, one of your best defensive linemen, you lose your defensive line coach John Tierlink, who went to Detroit, and you know, you start losing coaches and players. You got a new linebacker coach, and it's just, you know, a whole adjustment of getting new players and coaches, but that's what football in the 90s is going to be.
Yeah, it is, with the free agency and the salary cap. 2nd down. Billy Joe Hobart, the quarterback. Pass almost caught on the deflection, finally fumbled around. Kerry Cash almost came up with it. The Raiders feel they need to settle on a tight end. with the regular season approaching. How do you know what you got in there?
I don't know. That's the thing that, you know, it used to be a simple thing, but now they got so much stuff in there that no matter what happens in a game, there's something in that case that they can take care of.
Used to be an ace bandage, a roll of tape, and some band-aids.
Just an old bucket in the back somewhere.
Yeah, and a lot of water. Pass is complete to Sean Foster again.
Billy Joe Hobart looks pretty good here. I mean, just getting back again. This is I think what he wanted to do is just have a good feel. You know, get back there. You feel the pass rush. You don't panic. You have two guys going. You got a short guy and a deep guy. That's what you do against a zone. You just come under control. Deep guy tries to run off the deep, and then the short guy just runs that hook and tries to find a hole in there.
Foster did a good job finding it. Just pulled up. Incomplete. Bobo, the intended receiver.
I think that was an audible there. Hobart wanted to run some of that no huddle himself. You know, the Raiders put in that no huddle that they ran in the first half with Jeff Hostetler. They put it in this week, and they've been working on it, and they were going to use it here, and Mike White didn't know if he was going to let Hobart use it or not. And so far, he hasn't let him use it. Hobart's had to get in the huddle every time.
Two backs for the Raiders this time, one of which is Napoleon Kaufman. The other Calvin Jones. Hobart. Pass intercepted by the Vikings. Alfred Jackson after it bounced out of the hands of the Raider receiver.
That's the second time that happened to the Raiders tonight. Hostetler had one of those.
We would like to welcome our newest affiliate to the Fox family, KFXA of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You've joined a good group.
I go through there, I think, on 80. That's where, remember last week we had that player, Kerry Bender, who was from Coe College, which is also where Marv Levy went, which is where Coe College is in Grand Rapids. So if you're looking for it, you know where that affiliate is. It's right next to Coe College. Well, the Vikings had two #1 draft choices this year. Derek Alexander, a defensive lineman who they just signed yesterday. And the other one is the offensive lineman, Corey Springer, number 77, who's in there at right tackle now. There's Derek Alexander right here. Again, he just signed a big contract yesterday, and number 77 is Corey Springer.
And he's big in every area. Big contract, over 300 pounds, but very young. Pass complete. Cadre Ishmael.
Yeah, Denny Green was saying that they brought Rick Cunningham in as a starter this year. They brought him in from Arizona, and they're going to let Springer, I think, play behind Cunningham or kind of work his way into it and probably be the starting tackle next year. I mean, that guy gets it going. He's a big, you know, one of those Ohio State linemen. I mean, he gets that stuff going forward. He's going to be a good run blocker. He has to work in that pass protection.
First and 10, the Raiders blitz. Amp Lee. First down and more. Stopped by James Folston. Lee went around the blitz.
You're going to see the blitz coming. As you say, they get the blitz in here, and Amp Lee just goes right around there. When they get everything coming inside, and Amp Lee goes, whoa, it's tight in there. I'll just take it to the outside. And the Raiders didn't have anyone out there in what you call force. You have to have the inside stuff, and then you have to have your force coming from the outside.
17-yard gain for Amp Lee. That's Scotty Graham, and he got not even back to the line of scrimmage. Did well to even hold on to the ball.
Well, Amp Lee is the running back that is fighting with Scotty Graham to become the starter. Amp Lee, remember, they got from the 49ers, and a year ago he was their third down running back.
And he wants more than that.
Yeah, he wants to be the every down running back, but Scotty Graham wants to be the every down running back. And James Stewart and Billy Phillips have been the best looking running backs. and another one's even holding out.
Pass complete to Jordan. About an 8-yard pickup.
Look at Brad Johnson. Looks like he's saying, well, you guys just let him hit us, backup quarterback. Here's what the running backs have done so far in the preseason. See that James Stewart has gained 143 yards. Ampley is second. Bobby Phillips is 12 for 40 yards, but he has 2 touchdowns.
3rd and short.
You know, Johnson was right. I mean, after you throw the ball, just because you're the backup quarterback, you just can't let him slam you to the ground and bounce your head around.
Pass deflected. Intended for Moses Ware. Incomplete.
See that thing on Brad Johnson at 35 years. This is again the 35th year of the Minnesota Vikings. And so they're wearing that patch. Remember last year all the teams had the 75-year patch, and this year you can see 35 years, 1961 to 1995. You know the interesting thing about that, the Oakland Raiders, before they became the Oakland Raiders, were a Minnesota team. They moved from Minnesota to Oakland.
Minnesota didn't have always this facility either. It could get cold in that old stadium in Bloomington. And did get cold. 7-7 tie. 5:29 left in the 3rd quarter.
Hey, when you're holding that bench, you see Springer there. He weighs about 350. You see Dixon there at number 71. He weighs 360 pounds.
At least.
And I tell you, that bench, I've been watching, and it really doesn't even bow much in the middle. That's an industrial-sized bench.
It better be. Jones, the ball carrier. Jason Fisk led the defensive charge. I was looking at the rosters earlier. There's 16 players in this game over 300 pounds or over. There's one of them.
Yeah, that's big old Kevin Gogan there. That's when you know they're not going to play anymore, when they start taking stuff off. Gogan takes off the sock. You have to take off the sock to take off the tape, and then you take off the tape, then you put the sock back on. There's no tape underneath it.
Those loins looked adequate, didn't they? Pass is picked off by the Vikings. Richard Brown, touchdown, Minnesota. You ever remember a game like this?
No. First there was Chester McLaughlin, then there was Tuyas. And now the 3rd defensive guy gets one.
And scores a touchdown.
2 defensive tackles, McLaughlin, Tualo. And now you get a linebacker.
Brown.
Watch him. He's just standing there. He was just spying, and then he looked like he was going to come later on a blitz. He just started back, and then he saw the quarterback coming, but it looked like he started up before the ball was even thrown.
A disgusted Billy Joe Hobart. Juan Rivez to try the extra point. 14-7 Minnesota. All the points on interception. Set up one of the touchdowns, an interception.
52. He's man-to-man on the back here. Now, when he sees the back block, he's here. He starts to rush the quarterback, and Billy Joe Hobart throws it right to him. Watch, this is what you do in man-to-man. You see he's covering, he's watching his man. Now he sees him block. Now watch him right here. He's going to step up like he's coming to rush the quarterback, and as he does, Hobart throws it right to him. Those are good hands for Richard Brown. I mean, to be able to catch a ball when you're running at the ball.
Richard Brown played with the Browns. In fact, was a very fine special teams player. A.C. Coswell.
He ran out of bounds and then ran back in. And one thing he did, he got that ball in that outside hand.
The Vikings lead the Raiders 14-7. There's Billy Joe Hobart. 4:28 left, 3rd quarter.
Coswell here, he does everything. He brings the ball up, takes it to the outside. Now he knows you got to switch the ball to the outside arm. He's doing perfect. He's running up the outside. The only thing is you got to stay in the field. He just runs right out of bounds. He was doing so well. I mean, he hit the middle. He found the outside. He switched the ball to the outside arm, and then while doing all that, he forgot to stay in bounds.
How much do you expect a man to remember? He's being chased.
That was a thin line down there. You know, usually in regular season, it seems like they have a wide line.
They do.
I'll just say he couldn't see the line.
That's good. Hobart has the pass complete to a sliding down receiver. Really, Joe Hobart was down as well.
And he's checking his parts after that one. He really got hit.
Bobo caught the pass.
And look at the points of the points off of turnovers.
All of them.
Exactly what the score is. Uh-oh, look out. Well, you can get him one way or the other. If you can, you just bop him in the head.
Hobart going deep. Got a man deep, but way over his head. Bobo got tangled up with the defender.
The Raiders, neither one of these offenses, the Vikings maybe were in sync a little early there with Warren Moon, but neither one of these offenses look like they're ready for the season. I mean, everyone says that, you know, the 4 preseason games are too many, but you can't play regular season like this either. I mean, somewhere the team has to get ready. Somewhere you have to get ready to play, because this isn't regular season offensive football we're watching.
No. Jones, the ball carrier, got a couple. Richard Brown, who made the interception, scored the touchdown, made the tackle. Now he gets a vacation.
That's another thing you can add to what you did during your summer vacation.
Yeah.
A dress like that and went woo.
Somewhere outside.
When you're big like Goga, you're going to sweat a lot. You can take a swig of water, and it doesn't make any difference if it even hits your mouth.
On third down, Hobart. Incomplete. Intended for Tyrone Montgomery. Crocker was the defender.
Adding that, I always wonder that if you're going to play fewer preseason, say you only play 2 preseason, then do you add that to the regular season? Well, then that's too many regular season games. And if you play 2 preseason and the same amount of regular season games, then you're taking the revenue away from the owners. So I think that's one of those things that people talk about, but really, when they think about it, it really doesn't make sense on either side.
Two preseason games are not enough. Now, most of the teams are working at David Palmer back deep for the Vikings. Jeff Gossett, for a long time, has been a fine punter. Oldest punter in the league, as a matter of fact. Palmer signals fair catch. He's had a good training camp. David Palmer, high draft choice last year. 14-7 Minnesota.
Yeah, they have. You know, they lose Ricky Waters in the offseason, and then they're counting on their fullback William Floyd, bar none, to take up a piece of that, and then he gets injured.
And J.J. Stokes,
their #1 draft choice, who was going to again take part of Ricky Waters' pass thing. But the 49ers still have so many guys. I mean, you just put Steve Young back there and what he's doing, and Jerry Rice on one side, and Brent Jones and John Taylor. They still got a lot of weapons.
Of course, the Seahawks have a new coach and a fine young quarterback, Rick Meyer.
You're talking about players in the 49ers. Did you see Steve Young last week? The guy's playing, right? It's a preseason game. Everyone's, these things, I mean, these guys are high paid. Steve Young gets hit. His helmet gets knocked off, and he keeps on playing. He's scrambling.
Yeah.
And then he goes down. He scrambles for yardage and then goes down. What's that all about?
That's about loving to play the game.
And playing on instincts. Yeah. And once the game starts, instincts take over.
Second down. Brad Johnson hurried rolled it out to Scotty Graham, incomplete.
You know, one thing I think this cap is really, you know, this salary cap thing has really put pressure on quality backup players. I mean, we're not seeing that in the league anymore. And when you take it to the quarterback level, I mean, it's hard to have a top quarterback and pay him a lot of money, but you can't afford to have a top backup anymore. And these backups are really, you know, just trying to learn that, you know, if the starter ever gets hurt, a lot of teams in this league are in trouble.
That's not just the quarterbacks. You can keep quality starters. Here is Brad Johnson swarmed on by Aaron Wallace.
Yeah, but you can see what a game turns into darn near when you take Warren Moon out and everything is kind of going smoothly, and again you got all the starters in there, then you start to get backups in there, then stuff like this happens. I mean, the center snaps the ball, the quarterback's not ready, the guards and tackles are still in the stance.
Yeah, still in the stance.
You know, half are playing, half are sitting. You know, they don't know the snap count. And you know, football can get awfully sloppy if you don't have the top players in there.
And when your players don't know the snap count, you got real problems.
Then you're in big trouble.
Philip Bobo back deep for the Raiders. Jackson's kick fielded at the 47. Bobo got inside the 45, was knocked backwards, but the Raiders will take over in Minnesota territory.
Yeah, if you look at what's happened to the Viking quarterbacks here, they've only been sacked 3 times, hurried 5 times, and knocked down 4 times. Now Warren Moon got a couple of those knockdowns too. They had a pass batted, 1 intercepted, and they were forced to scramble 1 time. So I think both defenses have put a lot of pressure on both offenses.
Holbert rolling and waving and throwing, and gets his pass complete to Andrew Glover. And that should be enough for a Raider first down.
One thing about Billy Joe Hobart, he can run and he can run and throw, and you know, run right and throw or run left and throw. We saw him do it earlier, running to his left and throwing, and that time he ran a bootleg and there's no one open. He just kept running and running and waiting and waiting, and he finally found his tight end and zipped it in there.
Did you see that tank over on the sideline?
Yeah.
How can it be empty and part full?
That's the kind of game it is.
Yeah. In the stadium, part full. There it is, empty and part full.
Well, the thing is, Jerry Ball's right there. He probably made it empty, but we'll talk to him about that after and figure out how that works out. As I say, do not remove this tag empty. Please return promptly, part full. That's a study. We'll get the answers from him. We got help everywhere. He's figuring it out.
No, he's baffled.
He said, how can something be empty and half full?
Who's he waving to? He's waving to the tank. Look, I'm full. He's talking to the tank. Second down. Holbert. Wide open is Wes Bender. Bender inside the 10. Knocked out of bounds by Orlando Thomas. Wes Bender.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that the coaches like too. One thing about Bender, when he turned that thing up, he really stayed in bounds. He was looking for someone that he wanted to make a collision with.
He doesn't run or look like number 49. He ought to have a 30-something.
Yeah. Remember there was a 30-something who played here. And
yep.
Used to always have that short haircut.
Bill Brown.
Well, Wes Bender has that.
Yep.
And it looks a little like Bill Brown, doesn't it? That uniform, 5'10", 230. You see, the one guy jumped up, and Bender sees it coming there. And when you see a collision coming, you want to be the guy delivering the blow, not accepting it. There's the acceptee.
Yep.
The deliverer is on the other side.
14-7 Vikings. The Raiders with a 1st and goal at the 6. 16 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
This is where a guy like Billy Joe Hobart is good, that option type stuff where you can run that bootleg. You know, like we were talking about Steve Young, how he ran without his hat. Billy Joe Hobart can do some of those types of things, you know, where you go and you fake the run and then you got the option of passing or running it yourself.
There's the guy's been running without his hat.
Knocked his hair right off.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Minnesota 14, the Raiders 7, but the Raiders are close.
Simple shot.
Back for the 4th quarter. The Raiders at the Vikings 6. At the end of the game, John and I'll select the Miller Lite player of the game, and that's going to be a tough task.
Well, with a score 14-7, it has to be a defensive player so far. They've made all the big offensive plays. Unless the offenses start burning up this 4th quarter.
Billy Joe Hobart, 4th and goal at the 6. 1st and goal at the 6, sorry. Touchdown.
Billy Joe Hobart was bringing the ball back to Calvin Jones, and he darn near didn't get it to Jones. Hobart was coming back, and he was falling down as he was handing off.
6-yard touchdown run by Jones.
That had to throw. Watch Hobart here. That has to throw the defense off when the quarterback comes stumbling out of there. Like something, and then just hands the ball off. Everyone had to be saying, what the heck was that I just saw? And they just blew the Vikings right out of there. They couldn't believe that. They never seen a quarterback do that.
Jaeger ties it. There's your buddy run.
Yeah, Calvin Jones is wondering, how did I get that ball?
Tie game. It's about set to kick off. Bobby Phillips and Scotty Graham back deep.
Whoa!
Joe Nedney will kick off.
Here's this new rule we can watch now, Pat. When the official gives the ball to the kicker, he'll hand him the ball, then he'll start the 25-second clock. Now the kicker has 25 seconds from the time he's handed the ball to kick it off.
Most of them are pretty casual about it, but they all get it done, seemingly.
As long as they just put it down and tee and kick it off, they have plenty of time.
Kick is to the 3. Bobby Phillips down at about the 30.
Remember the old days in the NFL when a guy would go down and could get up and run again? That's what Phillips looked like he did. I mean, he went down, but he didn't stay down. He just kind of bounced right up, and he was ready to go again.
Now, in those days, it was dangerous. Not that it isn't dangerous now, but when you could get up. Chad May, by the way, is the quarterback for Minnesota.
We may have the littlest player I've ever seen in the NFL in the game right now. Jimmy Cunningham.
In the slot. Number 84. May.
I'll tell you, his number can't fit. I mean, his number, he doesn't have enough there. Watch him. Here he is, number 84. He weighs about 145 pounds. And I would say he's 5'6". And he's just going to take a shot at someone. He's like a flea down there. The defense go, what the heck was that coming at me?
He had on shorts at practice yesterday. They were down to the top of his socks.
I know, and then the 84, half the 8 and half the 4 were in his pants.
Chad May or John Jarrett.
Yeah, this has to be a big thrill for a guy like Jimmy Cunningham, though. You know, free agent, Howard University. You know, like I said, 5'6", 145 pounds to get to come to an NFL camp and play in a game and be out there like that. You can see what he did last year at Howard, 51 catches. But I mean, just guys like that are fun. You just watch them and having fun being here, having fun in practice, and just the whole thing. It's sometimes the NFL and preseason is about the Jimmy Cunninghams too.
Getting a chance. Central.
Here's a guy, number 91, Pat, who I think made the best play of the game. Big defensive tackle, Chester McLaughlin.
The interception.
That was the interception, but he started on a pass rush, went back on a zone, intercepted the ball, and started running with it. Figured that he wasn't going to score a touchdown, lateral it like an option thing to the fastest man in football, and let him score a touchdown with it. And then he made another big play too.
Yes,
on that.
Did.
There was a 3rd and 17, and they ran a screen pass.
And he started the rush.
And he started the rush, rushed the passer, and then came all the way down the field and made the tackle about 15 yards downfield.
It continues to amaze me that a guy that big, like Chester McLaughlin, can move that way.
Yeah, that's the kind of guys that make Pro Bowls, though. I mean, guys are just that big and they can't move, then they just kind of hang up in the middle there and and take stuff that comes in, or they don't play. And then the guys in the middle that can play in the middle and are big and are strong and can run, and they're the guys that make all the money and play in the Pro Bowl every January.
Chad May. Back to throw it. Flag on the play, and they stop things.
Chad May was the 4th round pick of the Vikings this year. He was from Kansas State and thought he was going to be picked in the first round.
Number 77.
Well, the Vikings, I was talking to their director of player personnel yesterday, Jerry Reichow. And they like his temperament. They like his like of playing. It's not like, that's like. He enjoys the game.
Yeah, and he's a real competitor and everything. I mean, the only negative thing, I think the reason he was a 4th round instead of a 1st round is some people don't think he has the height. He's 6 foot, 6'1", and that's the thing that probably holds him back in the draft. But that doesn't mean it's going to hold him back here, because once you get here, then it's open to anyone. If you can play, you play.
I wonder, once you get a chance to stride, how much difference do those inches make? The handoff is to Stewart. Mike Morton made the stop. Now, Stewart's a big guy. We talked about him before. He looks like a player, maybe.
And that size doesn't mean anything if I mean, it doesn't mean anything if you can't play either. You can be the big, and someone said, boy, he really looks good. He's big. Well, for what? What does he do with it? And conversely, if someone said, he doesn't look like much, but then he plays like that. I mean, Fran Tarkenton wasn't any bigger than
That's right.
I mean, he was smaller than all these quarterbacks. Look at his numbers.
Raiders have a 9-man front. May looking for a screen pass to Charles Evans. It just wasn't there.
Well, nothing. I mean, a screen pass isn't going to be there on 3rd down when you haven't thrown a lot. A screen pass is there when you're really eating them up, and you got the thing going and you're zipping them, and then they're rushing and you just throw it. But when you don't have anything going and it's 3rd down and you just got in the game, that's not going to work anyway.
You got to get them to the place where they think they got to put some heat on the pass and get them really rushing.
Right. I mean, you can't be afraid of 3rd down. Throwing it 8 or 9 yards and getting the 1st down.
Mike Saxon has had a busy day. Albert Lewis retreats to the 7. Lewis outside the 20.
There's one of the guys who made a big play, Tuaolo. Remember that interception he made? We talked about Chester McLaughlin.
Yep.
As for Tuaolo, he makes that big interception. Pretty good run, tackled by Hostetler, but he does other things good too.
Yes, he does. Listen to his voice. That's not your normal fight song.
Now, how can you be a big old defensive tackle and take on centers and guards and double teams and all that stuff and then sing like that? Remember when he was at Green Bay, I think we did a game that he sang the national anthem.
Yes, we did.
The more things you can do.
1st and 10. Raider ball, tie score 14-14. Calvin Jones, who scored the Raiders' last touchdown. Chris Johnson, the stop.
Yeah, we talk about the running backs the Vikings have. The Raiders have, Harvey Williams, who looks like he's their running back. Calvin Jones, Greg Robinson, who has looked good a week ago, didn't even suit up tonight. And of course their #1 draft choice, Napoleon Kaufman. They got a whole bunch of them back there too.
Yeah.
And that's just counting the halfbacks. Then they got Derek Fenner, who they're impressed with.
Jones. Close to a 1st down. Harvey Williams, one of those running backs.
Rocket Ismail there. He got both brothers. Quadre, of course, playing for the Vikings, and Rocket playing for the Raiders, not playing tonight. They both got married in the offseason. Quadre had this big wedding, and he was getting ready for it, and he got on his pager. But Rocket paged him and told him at the end of it, he said, "By the way, I got married." He eloped.
3rd and short. Yes, with the 2nd surge, got the 1st down.
That's how you can tell a guy's done when he's over there signing autographs without any pad. And there is a happy, proud kid. He just got a Raider.
That's looking like a real helmet.
A Raider autograph from Jerry Ball. The only thing is, give it back to the kid. I mean, that's what, if the kid gets it, then let the kid keep it. Don't have the kid go get it, then give it to the father.
That was the kid that had the sword before.
And it looked like he'd rather have the sword than the hat. Take the hat, kid.
They'll measure.
Take the hat. Take the hat. Yeah, the father bluffed him. He did.
1st down.
He made the kid go get it, then bring it back and give it to him, and he gave the kid the sword back, and the kid doesn't even want the hat. Look, he got it. Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
I think he heard you.
Someone did. Now you're talking. Keep that hat on.
Yes.
There's #1.
Watch your ear. Jerry
Ball's all over the place tonight. He's working on oxygen. He's giving autographs, giving helmets, making sure kids get the helmets.
You got to be able to do a lot of things. Like I said. Tyrone Montgomery makes the reception.
Ty Montgomery, remember, he was a running back. He's one of those guys that the Raiders are always trying to find a place for, and they moved him to wide receiver. And I mean, when he gets his hands on the ball, he can do things with it.
Fuller made the stop. Montgomery.
It looked like the Vikings did something to him after he caught that.
First down, Raiders. Jones inside the 15 to about the 12. Stopped by Fuller.
I got to show you a block here, Pat. Here's one of my guys right here, Kevin Smith. His father played for me with the Raiders, Charlie Smith. He gets a little boom, a little start there, and then whop, just take the guy right down as the guy goes back. That's not bad. Kevin Smith was a running back at UCLA, and they moved him to tight end now. And his dad, Charlie Smith, remember when he played for the Oakland Raiders?
Yeah.
He was a heck of a running back and a great pass receiver,
First down. Jones to the 6. Stopped by Robert Griffith.
I think this is one of the things that Mike White wanted to see, too. You know, the no penalties. He hasn't seen that. The discipline. I don't know if he's seen that or not, but he wanted to see the physicalness and the tough running. Of course, it's the fourth quarter when he's finally getting to it, but he's starting to see some of that now.
Second and 4. Holbert looking to the sideline for a little help. 14-14 tie, 8:40 left to play. Fox NFL preseason special. guess that's okay. No, that's okay. Ball must have been loose. Looks like the Raiders got it back.
Yeah, in fact, the guy that got it back is Baron Robbins, the big rookie center. Watch him, number 63 there. Boy, that's a heck of a drive block he made. See, the ball was dropped by Calvin Jones. Robbins was right underneath it, just picked the ball up, or just came right to him. He was blocking. I mean,
that was a heck of a block.
I know, he was down in there blocking, and here comes the ball.
Raiders really impressed with Baron Robbins. Pass low. Intended for Bobo. Here comes Jaeger.
The Vikings tightened up down there. They did on that run. There was no place to run in there, and then there was no place to throw in there in that slant. Of course, you would have thought someplace down there that bootleg that I talked about, some kind of option with Hobart would have been effective.
Field goal by Jaeger. 22 yards is good, and the Raiders lead by 3. 7:52 left to play. 17-14. Dome in Minnesota. The Raiders 17. The Vikings 14. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stinner and directed by Sandy Grossman. The studio is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin, David Hill. By the way, we'd like to wish Bob Stinner's mother the best. Hope she's feeling well. That comes from Bob and all of us. Nedney to kick off. Bobby Phillips on a return. Out to about the 15. 7:42 left to play, with the Raiders up by 3. Jacksonville lost to the Cardinals. Not the Cardinals, St. Louis. I got to get this straight. The St. Louis Rams beat Jacksonville in the Jacksonville home opener, 27-10.
Boy, that is tough. And you know, last week the Raiders had their home opener in Oakland, and they were playing the St. Louis Rams. So you had the two teams that were played in Los Angeles a year ago, now playing for different times in Oakland's opener.
It's confusing.
Yeah, but I think that the Oakland Raiders is a lot easy to say and remember, or a lot easier than the St. Louis Rams.
It is to me.
Or even the Arizona Cardinals. Well, that's still a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
Because they were the Phoenix Cardinals for a while, and then the Arizona Cardinals.
And they were the St. Louis Cardinals, and then the Chicago Cardinals before that.
When you played for them, the Chicago Cardinals.
Right. Now that's way back. Pass deflected.
You know, we're talking about guys getting bigger and bigger. I mean, that David Dixon, that number 71 for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are so big. I mean, look at him, number 71 there. But he doesn't. I mean, he's not a big fat guy. He weighs 360 pounds. Then you watch them pass protect, and they move their feet, and they, you know, I mean, they're light on their feet, and guys just keep getting bigger, and they're able to do things with it.
You know, when he was standing at practice yesterday, he didn't look all that big.
No, because he was standing next to Corey Springer, who weighs 350. They were both like 360-pound guys.
And when he left, he had to turn sideways to get through the door, to get out. May. Palmer, the intended receiver, a flag on the play, way back downfield.
But the thing is, I mean, these big young guys that can just can still move like they're 250-pound guys.
46 defense.
What's your explanation? It used to be a 300-pounder was a big, most of the time a fat guy, couldn't play. Now they're big.
Yeah, I know it. And then I remember the first 300-pound guy, and say you can't play at 300 or you can be too big. And now I think that, you know, they're probably learning from each other, and I think kids are just getting bigger. And then they learn and they see how big guys can play. I think high school coaches probably do a better job with them than they ever did before. I think college coaches do a better job. I mean, at one time, college coaches wouldn't let a big guy play, and they didn't get them, you know, when they got to the pros, they just weren't even playing anymore.
Probably weights, lifting weights help. Probably diet. And kids, like you say, are just getting bigger.
Yeah, and then the other thing is big guys are never aggressive, because if you're the biggest kid, like in elementary school, and you're always the biggest guy, and if you do anything aggressive, they always say, don't pick on someone. Now, conversely, if the little guy hits him, then it's cute.
Okay, yeah.
So the big guys are always told, don't do it, and then they start to play football, and they say, okay, it's okay, be aggressive. I mean, you're big old Dixon. You wait till, I mean, he was probably told until he was 16 that don't hit anyone.
You might hurt him.
And now he's 16, they say, go hit him. Well, he doesn't know how to do that. I don't know if any of that makes sense with that.
Yeah, it does. 2nd and 11. May hit from behind. Andre Bruce got around the corner in a hurry.
Andre Bruce has been getting around the corner in a hurry a lot. Here he is here, and like you said, he's out there on that tight end. He got a good start there. See, now Corey Stringer just didn't get out there, or when he got out there, he couldn't deliver enough. You can't cut at that position. Corey Stringer's a rookie, and he's going to learn that you have to get a position and a location and run him by. But you can't get out there and cut him, because a guy like Andre Bruce will just go right through or over a cut and knock your quarterback down.
May is 0 for 4. May again has to duck. Pressure is again there. Kevin Johnson finally taking him around, but again, Andre Bruce went flying by on the outside.
I think you're going to see a blitz on this one. I think the blitzer comes from here. It looks like he's going to cover, and then he just comes from the outside. No one blocks him here. See, Bruce takes the inside, and here comes a blitz in the outside. They didn't pick that up at all. He was out there, Pickens was out there like he was going to cover, and then at that last minute, boom, he just came in.
Minnesota quarterback's under pressure all day. Saxon back to punt to Filipovo. To the 47. Flag down.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we're seeing a lot more of. You know, we always see the substitution on defense, the nickel defense, the dime defense. And now we're seeing a lot more when they get in that nickel or dime defense, the extra defensive backs, and blitz like they just did then. I mean, that's going on all over the league.
Holding number 46. While the kick was in the air, a post-possession foul, 10-yard penalty, first down.
But and then just watching preseason this year, you know, it used to be over the years that the teams would hardly ever, you know, blitz corners and blitz safeties or one like we just saw in the preseason at all. And then during the regular season, I mean, you'd get a team may do it 5 or 10 times all year, other than a Buddy Ryan type team. Now everyone's doing it, like in every game, in every situation, in the second, third preseason games they're doing it.
That's the new thing we're going to see, I think, more and more of, too. Actually, it's not that new. We're just going to see more of it.
Lightning strike, my pals, if we aren't the
special beginning at 9, 8 Central right here on Fox.
That's the one I was talking about. They got hit by lightning so they can say anything now. What do they got? Hootie and the Blow. I saw it today. Hootie and the Blowfish just went up to #1 on
I saw that.
I've been studying Hootie and the Blowfish.
What? Well, you've taken a lot of long trips.
I know, but I don't know who's going to be on that special. Is it going to be Hootie and the Blowfish? I mean, are all of them going to be there, or just Hootie?
I think they'll all be there.
Well, who's the fan? Who's the football fan? Is it Hootie or all the Blowfish?
My guess is a Blowfish.
I think it's Hootie.
Okay.
But I mean, things are going well for Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah. Just over 4 minutes left. Good throw from Hobart to Bobo. Ooh. Out of bounds, they say.
He looked like he was going to give it to him. As I say, this is a good throw. 1, 2. That second foot is out of bounds.
He was out of bounds.
Bobo's making good yards after he caught it, though. He just kept on running. That was a right call by the official.
Gossett back to punt.
The Raiders pass protected well on that last play.
That's the key to the whole thing.
So someone on that right side, I got 2 guys started in. They went right on their backs.
Flags, mouthpiece, face mask.
Now that's a bad one. You can't do that.
Carl Kidd.
Whoa. See, what the rule is there's no fair catch here, but you have to allow the guy to catch the ball. You can't hit him before the ball gets there. You can't interfere with his right to catch the ball. Now, there's no fair catch, but you have to let him catch the ball, then tackle him. You can't hit him before the ball gets there. Watch, the ball's coming. It's not even, no.
With the opportunity to make a catch. 15-yard penalty, number 46. First down.
I mean, you like aggressiveness, but you have to be smart about it. I mean, you just can't go running down there. I remember, I used to say special teams breeds fanatics, but it has to be control fanatics. You just can't run down and hit guys before the ball gets there. I mean, you just can't do that.
The Raiders have had 111 yards now in penalties.
But that one there, I mean, as always, you just have to wait for the ball, and then what you do is you wait. If he doesn't fair catch, you wait until he catches it, then unload on him.
Chris Walsh got it on the bounce. NFL calendar, some important dates approaching. August the 22nd, next Tuesday. The rosters will be cut to 60 with the exception of Carolina and Jacksonville. They can keep 65, the 2 expansion teams. But Tuesday is a big day by 4 o'clock Eastern time. It has to be done.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger day for the players, though, that are trying to make team than it is for the coaches and organizations, because the coaches and organizations that I've talked to don't feel that they have any problems cutting to 60. And as you see, I think the salary cap brings that about. You don't have the quality of player or backup player like we talked about in camp anymore. So it's a lot easier to cut to 60, and 53 shouldn't even be real tough.
Third and 10. May. Incomplete. Right, the defender, the pass.
Has Chad May completed a pass?
No.
Oh, it's a tough way for a rookie to come in. Down by 3. One thing about Chad May, he doesn't have to worry about a cut down date. He's going to make the team. I mean, he's going to be the 3rd quarterback on this team. I mean, right now it's obvious that Brad Johnson is a backup, Chad May is the 3rd. Of course, Warren Moon's the real quarterback.
Mike Saxon. Bobo signal fair catch and makes it. Let's look at that. Well, we talked about Tuesday being the cut down date to 60. The final roster breakdown, though, at least for the Vikings, looks something like this.
Yeah, this is what Denny Green was talking about. He's going to keep 3 quarterbacks. We just talked about who they would be. And he's going to keep 9 offensive linemen because he has a lot of big young ones. 6 running backs, 3 tight ends, 5 wide receivers. He says 3 kickers, but it's really 2 kickers plus 1. The one is Mike Morris, who's a snapper. He keeps in as a specialist. 9 defensive linemen, 7 linebackers, and 8 defensive backs.
Joe Aska
So most organizations have something like that. You know, they know about how many they're going to keep, and then they just plug in who the players are. I think the way the game is played today, I think you need a lot of defensive backs, because everyone's playing a lot of 6 and 7 defensive backs darn near every down now, because this is so much of a passing league.
And those extra defensive backs that play on those passing downs in the nickel situations, the dime situations, better be pretty good on special teams as well.
Big old McLaughlin and big old Jerry Ball better watch out. Those pants are going to be down. They're going to pants themselves.
Second and 12. That's Joe Aska again.
That's one of the rules in the NFL, is you can't undress before you get to the locker room.
I think that's a good rule.
Well, or you can start undressing, you just can't finish undressing before you get in there, or before the game's over. You know, more and more in these preseason games, they get out of the game and they start undressing right away.
Is that just in dome stadiums or outside too?
I don't know. I think it's all over. I mean, I think, if you're a big old guy, the first thing you do when you're done, you like to do is loosen your belt. See how big Jerry Ball has and Chester McLaughlin. The first thing you do is it's like a meal. Like you eat and you finish eating, you just open that belt.
Yep.
See, now the little guys don't do it. I mean, the smaller guys, they got the tight belts and the stuff, but the big guys, they just unloosen that.
Well, the belt was too tight to begin with.
But he does have short arms, compared to guys that have long arms.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Two minutes, 20 seconds left to play. Raiders lead 17-14.
We were talking to Jack Del Rio yesterday. He said, it's funny. He said, in our division, he said, everyone picks Chicago. And I said, that's right.
Yeah. 2 minutes left to play. There's Jack Del Rio. Good time. Good player, long time. To go. Oakland 17, Minnesota 14. Gossett back to punt. Palmer deep. You have a chance with this one. Back to the 47. Our choice is the most valuable players. Chester McLaughlin, the defensive tackle for the Raiders. The middle
for a big old tackle.
That's a heck of a play for anybody.
You're right. It's a lot of things to do with the football. Yeah, it's interesting. The Vikings put Brad Johnson back in.
Right.
Chad May hadn't done anything, so they brought Brad Johnson back in. Try and win this game here, or tie this game. They get one more completion and they have a shot at a tie.
Johnson. Pass complete. First down inside the 20.
He looks pretty good. It all started with good defense, pretty good punt return. Brad Johnson comes in and he kind of has a feel for the game now.
Number 61, offense.
Flag on the play. They had a first down on the pass completion. They'll bring it back. It'll still be a first down.
Not only a first down, but that had him in field goal position. So they still have their first down.
Here's Brad Johnson. Gets it out to Charles Evans.
Right now, the Raiders are trying to keep them inbounds, and the Vikings are trying to get out of bounds.
They're successful. The clock's still going. A minute left. Brad Johnson will throw it. Pass complete to Michael Tipley.
Now the Vikings Vikings have their field goal position. So I think the thing they have to think about is not having any penalties here or turnovers and take a shot at the end zone.
2nd and 3. Again, the pass complete down to the 17. Same receiver. Rivez continues to get ready. No timeouts left. The clock down to 18 seconds.
I smell overtime.
I was afraid you might. Johnson stops the clock.
I don't know. It looked like the ball was snapped. Did you see the ball come flying out of there?
Yeah.
That's what Mike White is saying. Just watch this. He's up under there. We know that they have no timeouts. The ball comes out of here, and he did throw it down first. I think Mike White's saying that it hit his guy. See, that it didn't hit the ground, that he threw it and it came flying out of there. It looked like it hit his foot.
Yeah, it did hit his foot, I'm sure. 11 seconds left. Brad Johnson back to throw. Has time. Pass caught. Touchdown, Minnesota. Chris Walsh from 16 yards out. 6 seconds remain. Now he wanted to score.
He didn't want any overtime, but that's the way to do it. I mean, that's the way you play football. When you're behind, you get in position to tie, then you get in position to tie, then you go for the end zone. I'll tell you, Walsh had to make a good catch here and a good move right there.
Yes, he did.
Because I don't know what would have happened if he doesn't get that ball in the end zone, because the Vikings had no timeouts.
And they have no time to get the kicker in there.
That was an ugly ending to it, though.
Mike Saxon lobbed a pass into the end zone. He's the holder. Intended for no one in particular.
Brad Johnson knew it. Look at that. He has that victory run there. He knew when he had Chris Walsh that he did what he had to do, but then Chris Walsh had to finish that thing out.
They put him back in after Chad May couldn't do anything, and he took him 47 yards in 6 plays.
And I think Brad Johnson knows and is thankful for Chris Walsh not only getting open, not only catching that ball, but again, the biggest part of his play was after he caught that ball, getting it in the end zone.
Walsh, I think after that catch and the effort after it, will be around.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be around. I mean, he's one of those possession type guys. But from right there, from the point he caught it until he crossed the plane of the goal line, that was the best part of the play. Right here, this effort right there. Because if he doesn't, I don't know that they could get up and stop the clock again.
We hadn't already given the Miller Lite Player of the Game award to Chetzer McLaughlin. We might give it to Chris Walsh.
Or, yeah, if we could do it to Brad Johnson. I mean, he wasn't bad coming in there and doing that. He threw 2 touchdowns. He was 11 for 17 tonight, 101 yards. You know, they say that preseason doesn't mean a lot and these players don't mean a lot, but this is one happy guy right here.
To whom?
Looks like to a lot of them it means something. Winning in preseason, they say. Chris Walsh just can't get that smile to leave his face.
Yeah. No feeling like it.
Hey, that's what it's all about. Anytime you go out to play, you go out to play to win.
20-17. Rivez to kick it off.
He's not going to give him anything to return here.
6 seconds left.
He's going to kick one of those line drive shots.
Calvin Jones got the ball down. Time left for the Raiders for one more play. Billy Joe Hobart.
Now remember, the only way he can get more than one play is the game cannot end on a defensive penalty. So if he has one play and they're going to do anything, it has to be a touchdown play or a good play and a Viking penalty. Then they get another play after time would run out.
finish it. For John Madden, I'm Pat Summerall saying so long from the Metrodome, where the final score is 2017 Minnesota. We'll send you back to Hollywood for James Brown with some final thoughts after these messages.
That next Saturday, the preseason continues here on Fox as Seattle takes on San Francisco. So for Pat Summerall, John Madden, Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson, and Howie Long, I'm James Brown. We'll see you next week.
This Monday, if you're looking